also very excited to present the featured speaker of the morning, Mr. Emmitt Smith, an all-around winner, as we just heard from the young man.
Now, you may think we will talk about how the Dallas Cowboys selected him in the first round of the 1990 NFL Draft, or how he became the NFL's all-time rushing leader, breaking the record formerly held by his idol, Walter Payton, and that he played for 3 Super Bowl winning Dallas Cowboys teams. You may even think we will discuss how Emmitt Smith is the only running back to ever win a Super Bowl championship, the NFL Most Valuable Player Award, the NFL Rushing Crown, and the Super Bowl Most Valuable Player Award, all in one season. But banish that thought.
So today, we celebrate his business acumen. Frank just talked about that football acumen. We asked Emmitt Smith to speak with us about his success and his perspective on business and his OPM. Anybody know what that means? Other people's money philosophy. We respect and admire how Emmitt Smith has navigated the business world. He has a portfolio of businesses, including companies in real estate, construction, and autograph authentication. I didn't even know such existed. He is an NTD-DC certified MBE, and we are very proud of all of his accomplishments. Please put your hands together to bring a warm, strong welcome to our speaker, Mr. Emmitt Smith.
Thank you very much. It's truly a pleasure to be up here in Washington Redskins territory and surrounded by them Ravens. And if you don't go too far, you'll see them Steelers somewhere close by. But I am truly honored to be here today to share with you a little bit about my story, my accomplishments beyond the game itself, and what we're doing in the construction space, real estate space as well. I'm oftentimes asked the question, how you became the all-time leading rusher. And my answer is pretty simple. I don't know. I don't know. I just started the journey. And the journey itself took me way back to Pensacola, Florida when I was 7 years old, watching the Dallas Cowboys play a football game on television with my father and seeing the excitement in his eyes about the game itself, and having this vision of something that I wanted to do myself. And it began with that dream and that vision. Like anything else in life, it all begins with a dream or a vision. And so that dream and that vision carried me from Pensacola, Florida, to the University of Florida, to Texas. That's part of the process. But within the process, the things that I learned from individuals and people who poured into my life were so significant. Mom and Dad set the foundation without a doubt. But the game of football taught me so much more about what the things I was going to be dealing with in life. And that right there is paramount. Those are the things that I stand on right now. Those are the things that continue to hold me up when I reflect over the years of service on the football field and in many, many more years of service to this great nation that we call America. And so for me, that process of going through and dealing with the word change, which we all had to deal with, change from one position to the next, change from growing up in a small town and all of a sudden you're introduced to something new, something that just explodes your mind to really what the possibility of life and what life could be like without the game of football in it. I had a guy by the name of Charlie Egger, which was my Pop Warner football coach, at the age of 11, while staying over his house. He had a 3,600,000 square foot home. I lived in the projects. The home had a home office in it. First time ever seeing a home office. You talking about being motivated to watch football and watch the guys do what they did. But to see a house that was bigger than mine, and to see a home office in it, and to see how they operate, but most importantly, to ask the fundamental questions of something that I had no clue about. What do you do for a living to earn the right to live in this house? And he shared with me. He said, E, I own my own construction company. And I said, okay, I thought you was just my football coach. He said, no, I do that part-time. I do that, that's my way of giving back to the community. He said, but I own my own construction company. And he proceeded to show me how to read blueprints and floor plans at that time, which opened my mind up to really this entrepreneur spirit that I carry with me today. He poured into me and showed me that the world does not have to just be my ghetto. I can do more with less. I can do more because I have more in me to give. As long as you have that desire and that passion to fight through these things and to go through the process of learning and open to be mentored by someone and to be open to learn new things, you have an opportunity to grab a hold of the American dream. But the one thing I also learned is that it's not going to be easy. Now, Charlie and I established a great relationship. He owned his own construction company, like I said. He showed me blueprints of houses, commercial buildings, and everything else. And he just kept saying, E, you have great talent. Your talent is going to take you places, but your education is going to last you forever. And then I ran into a guy by the name of Dwight Thomas, who poured also into me. It's only a dream until you write it down, and then it becomes a goal. So from that point on, these two individuals set a foundation for me that I still carry with me to this day. I don't write goals down like I used to. I write business plans now. Plans that line up with the vision that I have, not only for my company, but not only that, but how we're going to operate as a family and what we're going to give to in our community. And so one thing about construction, it's transformative. It's always, you cannot build anything in the United States without having a construction partner. So it begins with a vision. You go to this architect. He or she designs something, and you have to hire a construction manager or a construction partner to come in and do what they need to do. So that's how I began. And so as I became a Dallas Cowboy, and I was blessed by God to become a Dallas Cowboy, he fulfilled my dream. But not only did he fulfill my dream, but he also placed me in a place where I believe I needed to be. Because I ran into another guy that was a mentor by the name of Roger Staubach. And Roger Staubach pulled out more of what was already there. See, in 2005, when I retired from the National Football League, I went to Roger Staubach and I asked Roger and told Roger what I was thinking about doing. So for 15 years, I had been contemplating exactly what it is that I wanted to do. I saw people investing in certain things. I saw companies growing, saw the tech boom and all that. And I actually started investing myself into real estate, buying condos, investing into funds, and watching the funds make money. And something just said, Emmitt, follow the money trail. And so I started following the money trail. Well, when you follow the money trail, you realize that most people are not actually putting all their money into these real estate transactions. They're using other people's money. And so OPM is perfect. I can lead the fund and invest in it, but also I can gather other people around that trust me with their resources, and we have the right product that yields the right return. So I started with Roger Staubach by investing in some of the Staubach funds. And so I was watching it, and then I came to Roger in 2005. I said, Roger, I think I want to get in the real estate business. He said, well, you retired? Call me. I retired on a Wednesday. I called him that Monday. And I said, I'm ready. He said, okay. So he hooked me up with a firm that had their own real estate development firm that was associated with the Staubach Company. Now, you have to understand the Staubach Company, if you don't, the Staubach Company is a brokerage service company. They have a bunch of lines of businesses, office, industrial, retail. They have medical representation. They do a lot of tenant rep business. They do land representation. They do office management, property management, lease administration, the full gamut. And so while I was there in 2005, I ventured off into the development side because I wanted to build me something. I wanted to see something left behind. Roger was trying to steer me over into the brokerage services side. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be a broker. I want to do this. But while I was there, I had the ability to learn both sides of it. And I come to realize in that space, even on the development side, there weren't many of us in the room. Not many at all. So all of this stuff is starting to open my mind's eye to really, what is really going on? Because I was isolated in this football world. Because my money never really got affected by the inflation or any financial crisis. It came. It just came. And that was a good thing. But what it did was, when I got out of it, I was like, okay, I'm seeing things that I never once thought about. I thought the American dream was really a dream that could be accomplished. And people would be fair. People would give you opportunities. That's what I really thought. But the reality of the fact is, they're only going to give opportunities to the people that they know. And the people that have the ability to pull the projects off. And hence, they start talking about minority this, minority that. I'm like, okay, I thought it was black and white. But it's minority, which is fine. Let me get in this category. Let me understand what I need to do to position myself, to surround myself with experts, people who have the intellect, who have the experience in working in this minority space. And let's do what we are capable of doing. Let me build a team and put together men and women, black and white, Hispanic, it didn't matter. I wanted people that believed in the vision that we have as a company to transform this country. And I wanted to own this space, just like I own that all-time leading Russian record. I mean, you gotta have motivation. And so, in doing such, I was able to create the same vision and had this vision in terms of things that I needed to put in place. And so I created this company along with some other talented individuals called E. Smith Legacy Holdings. It's our holding company. And as you heard before, there are a series of companies underneath it. One of those companies is E. Smith Properties, which is our development arm. So I'm still in the development game. And that's led by our partner, Brian Mars. We still building mixed-use properties, single-tenant properties, triple-net lease properties. We're doing the whole gamut. We're fully servicing. And then you move over to the right, and my partner who runs our brokerage services company, where Staubach wanted me to be at in the initial place, is David Mosley, who's sitting right in front of us. Now, our brokerage service, tenant rep business, office, industrial, retail, medical office. We do site selection for corporations. We're doing the full gamut. Full service real estate solutions company is what we call ourselves. And then you move to the right, you have E.J. Smith Construction, where we're building infrastructure work, roads and bridges, hospitals, we're doing parking garages, everything that's involved with construction, light rail included. So we're general contractors in that space. And then while I was in the construction space with Eugene Walker, who has 31 years of experience in the construction space, I saw something. I saw something that had limits on minority companies. And that was capital. And that's capital. Most of our issues is capital. And so from a financial standpoint, I saw there's an opportunity for us to do something so we can play at the partnership level. And we created another arm of our company, which is called E. Smith Horizon, which is led by Vernon Merrill. And that is our investment financing arm for infrastructure work. We have done a joint venture with a very prominent hedge fund company they're out to raise $100 billion, and we're part of the deployment of that $100 billion in the infrastructure space. So we're positioning ourselves to take advantage of this opportunity that we see that's happening right now, that's starting to gin itself up in the real estate and construction space. Because we believe in infrastructure, we believe infrastructure leads the way for real estate development. And we're poised for it. The only thing that I would say to minority companies is this: get ready, get ready, get ready. The reason why you need to be ready is because this space is $1 trillion space. And the ancillary real estate that's tied around all of this infrastructure work is there for someone like yourself if you believe that change is coming. And it is around the corner. And our company, we believe in diversifying our portfolio, not only diversifying our portfolio, but diversifying our employees. Because we need great thinkers, we need critical thinkers, we need out-of-the-box thinkers. We don't want nothing cookie cutter. If it's cookie cutter, everyone is doing it. But the hard things, the challenging things, the things that requires brain power that can yield the greatest returns for us, those are the things that we try to tackle as well. See, the beautiful thing about being in a minority space and developing things in suburban space, I know both sides. I know both sides. I know how retailers look at an urban site and say, well, there's not enough critical mass there, there's not enough revenue coming out of there. Well, when you come out of that space, you know that there's pocket coat money and there's mattress money. They don't know that, but we do. And then when you go into suburban like I live right now, well, there's credit. There's credit, let's be honest. There's credit. And so you use credit on most of this stuff. And so at the end of the day, knowing how this works, our job is to bring quality services to every community. Not try to build around it and make it come to you. We're supposed to go where the people are to provide the services that they absolutely deserve and absolutely need. And that's what we're trying to do through our own company. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you here in this room to get ready for the opportunity. Because the next 25, 50 years, we're seeing significant growth right now happening in the northern part of the United States, northeast part of the United States, and in the southern sector, down in the Carolinas and Florida and my home state of Texas. We're seeing exponentially growth because people up north, companies are moving down to the southern side of the United States to get work and expand their operations. Even in Texas, all along the Gulf Coast. Growth is happening. We're projecting many things to happen. And the biggest disappointment that I see, or the biggest opportunity that I see, is in this minority space of real estate. 80% of C-level people in the real estate business are white male. 14% are white women. You know what a minority men and women lie? Minority men, it's like 1.9%. And follow that, the Hispanic men are right at about 2%. And then when you start talking about other levels there, minority women are just about 1% in those other levels of some of these companies. So there's tremendous opportunities here for us to grow. And I think the best thing that we can do strategy-wise is partner with one another. If there's an opportunity to collaborate and partner and share best practices, that's really what's required. So I learned a long time ago, you have to humble yourself in order to walk in rooms and learn what others want to teach you. If you walk into a room knowing everything in there, you're not going to learn much at all. And so sometimes my mama told me, when grown people are talking, sometimes, son, you need to be quiet. And so if I walk in a room with Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft, Mr. Kraft from the New England Patriots, what am I going to talk about? I need to listen. I need to be a fly on the wall. I need to understand what they know and what they're thinking about. And most importantly, if I can ask a question, I need to ask questions like how, what, who, when, where. And then, can you help me achieve something? Can you help? Don't be afraid to ask for the business. Don't just show up with a pretty face and walk into the room and just have conversation. You come in there with the mission. You come in to get business. And as an athlete, some of the challenges that we face is people don't always take us serious as business people. They think that just because you saw me on Dance with the Stars that I'm not focusing on my business. I like to have fun too. I like to have fun too. But never be afraid to step out there on faith and allow your heart to lead you where you really are supposed to be going. All right. The opportunities are there. You just got to be courageous to step out there and grab them. Because they're not just there for Roger Staubach or Magic Johnson or myself or any other celebrity that you may know. These opportunities are here for each and every one of us. And so go get it. Be courageous. Do it the right way. And do not forget to open the door for the next person. Because these are opportunities that I'm going after. So I got an idiot up front telling him I got 3 minutes. You asked me to come speak. It's not that often I get here. So I'm going to take advantage of my time while I'm here, just in case I don't get back. But be courageous and go get it. The playing field is wide open, and your name is on it. So right now, I'm going to leave you with a quote from a legendary coach, Paul Bear Bryant. He says, if you believe in yourself and have dedication and pride, you will be a winner. The price of victory is high, but so are the rewards.
So I'm sure you encountered some challenges along the way.
Oh,
so
yes.
Can you talk about a challenge and how you overcame that challenge?
Well,
Oh. I'm Valerie Dock. Our company is Bolana Enterprises, and we provide janitorial services.
okay, Valerie, you want to know a challenge that I overcame.
Yes.
Does it matter which space?
No,
Sports
you can
or
choose.
business? How do you want to title it?
We'll do two.
All right, do two.
Yeah.
Well, challenges that I faced on the football field, obviously coming up here in Washington Redskin territories twice a year at least. No, but on a serious note, I think one of the first challenges, big challenges that I faced, and this is a life lesson for anyone, and I learned this while playing football with Charlie Edgar. My first day and my first encounter with Charlie Edgar went like this. In football, you set two tires on the ground and you have one kid on the other side and another kid. Now, I'm 10 years old at this time, and this other kid is 12 years old. So he's 2 years older than I am, he's bigger than I am, he's stronger than I am, and he's faster. And at this time, I'm 10, I'd never really been hit before because I ran past everybody and so forth. And so now, and most of the time when I was 8 and 9, I was bigger than most. But this time, he was bigger than me. So they say hut, I take off running. This white kid hit me so hard, his name was Billy Spriggs. I got up, I was dazed. I was staggering around, and the coaches was jumping around, yelling, great job, patting people on the back, and I think I had my first concussion that when I got in. I'm staggering around. They said, I'm going to do it again. I'm like, Coach, I don't want to do it no more. That hurt. As a matter of fact, I almost started crying. He put his arms around me and said, listen, you got to do it again. You just got to stay in between the tires. Don't let him hit you, though. You don't have to let him hit you. I'm like, okay. So I stand up again, Billy Spriggs over here, smiling. like he's going to eat my lunch again. And I'm nervous. I'm starting to pray. And they say, Hud, I take off running. He comes at me. I sidestep him. I take off running for the touchdown. They down there cheering me on. I learned a very valuable lesson. Avoid contact at all costs. But the beautiful thing also I learned, you have to get back in the saddle even when things happen that does not fall in your way. You got to get right back in. And I'm so thankful that they forced me to do it right then. Because if I had a day to think about it, I don't know if I would have played football ever again because he hit me just that hard. But I learned you have to get back in the saddle. Things are going to happen. It's not going to be perfect. But you learn from your mistakes. And we have the saying in football, you have pre-game adjustments, in-game adjustments, halftime adjustment, and post-game adjustments. No matter what happens, you're always reviewing to see how you can get better at what you do. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Audrey Johnson. I lead the Supplier Diversity Program and Initiatives for Kaiser Permanente here in this region. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, can you talk a little bit more about your footprint in terms of your construction business?
Okay. Like
what areas, what states are you, is it just here locally or is it Dallas?
It's Texas-based.
Okay.
But construction management, we can do construction management almost anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so our team, matter of fact, we're ramping up to do construction management in other states. And so, but we are Texas-based, and all I can say is we're doing construction work in DFW, down the 35 corridor, all the way down to San Antonio, Houston, and Austin. So that's our footprint physically. Mm-hmm. But we're ramping up to expand our services in the construction management space because we have relationships domestically to do that.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
So if you need my help, let me know.
I do. And I'm specifically
we'll figure out that
yeah.
other piece. Don't worry. We'll figure out how to get to you if we have to.
Hey, good morning, Emmitt. My name is Orlando Dorsey. I'm with D.H. Lloyd & Associates, Commercial Insurance and Bonding, with a specialty in builder's risk. My question is, when you were 10 and you took that hit, what did you want to be when you were growing up at that age?
I've always wanted to play football at that age. Trust me. From the beginning, it was football first. Then when Charlie showed me how to read blueprints and floor plans, because the one thing I kept hearing in my neighborhood is that, the probability of me becoming a professional athlete was pretty slim. I didn't see many professional athletes in my hometown. If they were baseball players, or they were golfers like Jerry Pate. And so, but rarely did you, even Horace Jones, who played football, was in my hometown, but I never hardly ever saw him. There was no football camps like you know it today, no D1 facilities and all that kind of stuff that like you see today, no specialized training like you see it today, none of that. And so all I saw was high school football or college football, which was Alabama or Georgia or something like that. So I grew up just saying, I want to play football. Then I'm like, if that doesn't happen, how am I going to get out of this city? My only way out was through the military. Because my mom and dad could not afford to send me to a four-year institution. And I'm sure they weren't going to leverage the house to put me into college. So football became my vehicle. That's all that ball was, a vehicle to carry me one place to the next. And so when it got me to college, then I started thinking about other things as well. But not knowing how long this career would last, I had to prepare myself. And every opportunity that I had to sit in front of someone of stature, someone of business savvy, I've always asked that question. What do you do? How do you go about doing it? To see if I had any kind of interest in it.
And to talk about challenges, try being a lifelong Cowboys fan growing up in the nation's capital.
Well, you got a lot to be proud of. What you worried about? They hating on you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning, Emmitt. My name is Winifred Williams. I'm from the International Monetary Fund, And I noticed in the your statement here that you mentioned that you had a global footprint. I wondered if you might expand a little bit on that.
Okay, excellent. Through our joint venture with Newmark Knight and Frank, we have E. Smith Advisors, the company that David is running for us. It gives us the global footprint. They have over 400 offices around the globe. And so anytime we have a relationship domestically that's looking to expand it, or we're doing, let's just call it a lease administration services for a company that has offices around the globe, and they need somebody to come in and evaluate their leases. Because as we know, when you do CAM audits and everything else, there's money left on the table, and sometimes companies don't even know it because the property managers don't even tell you. And there could be $500,000, it could be $1 million, depends on how many properties that you actually have. So it just depends on what the client that we're servicing may need. But we do have access to over 14,000 brokers around the globe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Morning, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your inspiring story. I'm one of your fans. Thank you for being here. And you are such an inspiring story and also proving that one can fight against adversity and raise to highest level possible. So thank you for being that way. And I want to hear your advice for women business owners. I own a company called InnoVentures. We do professional IT services and products in the cloud integration area. But when it comes to women businesses, the challenges are quite different. So I would like to hear your advice to women business owners. Thank you.
Well, it's funny that you say that the challenges are a little different because I believe that women businesses should be thriving right about now, period, because diversity is such a huge thing and a huge initiative for so many companies. And to be in the position of technology itself is a huge category, and especially when it comes down to IT and providing the quality service. I mean, subscription model service?
Yeah, we provide services via subscription as well.
Subscription model? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's SaaS, as they call it. That's a pretty significant space. And so, I mean, you have every company that I can absolutely think of, including our own, has to have an IT component. Anything that's operating today is on some form of computer or some form of network. And that's the space that you're playing in. And so the field is very vast. I think what you may want to do, obviously, is identify those companies that are looking for services like yours, nationally, domestically, however you want to look at it, from East Coast to West Coast, and probably get in the queue with those guys and come in and do your presentation. And if your services, obviously, you know how it is competition-wise. But if you can crack that one, you're in a nice little space.
Thank you very much for the great
Good
advice.
luck.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Charles Johnson Bay from Lockheed Martin, and I have a question about technology. So what do you see as the technology needs for construction in the future? So today we're doing things one way, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there's going to be a need. So what do you see as a technology need or a technology breakthrough that needs to happen to help your business or other businesses like yours move forward?
We're in the space, when you start talking about construction and how technology, well, I don't want to see robots out there on the highway building the highway systems, right? I mean, because, tying rebar and then laying down that concrete and all that kind of stuff is, you need hands and eyes on it. Right. And if there's a problem, a human being can correct it. A robot may just do what he is programmed to do. As far as what I've noticed the change, construction companies now, we use cloud-based services. A lot of our things are in the cloud. Our RFIs are in the cloud. We download plans and documents and review them through BIM system, which is coming out of the cloud. We have BIM all over the room. And so when it comes down to identifying what's in the wall and what's in the ground and doing your estimations, we can get it pretty closely. And if it comes down to collision issues, we can get that pretty close closely before we start. And I think by doing some of the technology that's being used right now, even taking pictures in the field when there's a problem, and being able to send it directly back to the office to start the process of identifying an issue, all of that is critical. I think speed to market in the construction space is going to be absolutely paramount going forward, so we can alleviate the issues that happen down in Florida from an engineering standpoint.
Thank you.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question. Outside of putting robots in some of these trucks to move, I mean, they talking about manless car, you know, come on.
Unmanned vehicles, they can move concrete. I get you.
All right.
Hello, is it on? Okay, hi. I'm Rosemary Roberts, and I am the account manager for AARP in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure how to ask the question, and you may have addressed it and I missed it, but you are in the minority space, and if I am specific to, say, the construction arm of your enterprise, how do you go about? And the second part to how you go about, tell me the challenges that you have in trying to find minorities to bring into, and let's just use construction specifically, because that seems to be part of what I hear with construction. Again, we cannot find qualified, and since you've been in the minority space, then what are you doing, and how does your company address trying to reach out to the minority small businesses? Women-owned. Thank you.
Excellent question. Excellent question. Excellent question. First of all, the one thing that plagues the minority companies is the commercial useful function category. I mean, to be able to perform at that level for what you're looking at doing, if it's roads and bridges, do you serve a commercial useful function? Can you actually put the men and women in place to go out there and put the work in place versus becoming a pass-through? See, what happens is some of these companies, and I'm going to speak candidly, and I've seen it happen in Texas quite a bit. Some of these companies are front companies that have the minority status but don't really do the work. And that hurts everybody. But the reality of the fact is, you ask the question, how do we do it? Because I hear it all the time. We can't find qualified individuals. Well, we've been building roads and bridges for over 7 years. And 3-span bridges, 6-span bridges. We've set our own beams. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a real-time experience. We were doing a bridge in Texas called across Holiday Lane, which was a 6-span bridge. And we were not in charge of the materials. We were setting the beams that night about 10 o'clock, and it was going to be an all-night affair. Well, I got there about 9:30, and I'm sitting there waiting. Come find out, the supplier did not send the beam pads. And so we had to wait for 2 hours. So what happens for 2 hours? I got men sitting around waiting for 2 hours on my nickel. So when you go back and now you have to submit, you know what you have to submit. You have to submit change orders. That word, change orders. And so now they don't want to pay you for the change orders. So we have to fight for our money, let alone your retainage. As you know, in the construction business, if you don't know, every pay app that goes out, they take 10% of your pay app, which is generally your profit. And so if I got to fight for a change order, something that was totally out of my control, you're holding my 10%, you're holding my company back, my books don't look good because I got receivables outstanding for over 90 days or 6 months in some cases. There's been cases, y'all, where my retainage was held for almost 2 years. So what happens when you can't find a minority company? Because they're out of business. Somebody done ran them out of business. And so that that ring around the roses just keep going and going and going. And so as owners of companies who contract these general contractors, don't just give them the contract and then turn your back and say, it's your problem, you go deal with it. Find out what's really happening if you truly are serious about diversity and inclusion. Because down at the bottom, where a lot of us play, it's not always fair. And it's not always right. And that's coming from me. If they're doing that to me, I can only imagine what they're doing to you. And if you don't have the right folks that can cipher through all the contracts, the flow down clauses and everything else, because they want to charge you liquidated damages for every day that you missing a day, and your liquidated damages are equivalent to the general contractors. His is at $25,000 a day, and you're not even in charge of the product. You're not even in charge of the schedule. And they can accelerate the schedule at any point in time on you. It's, for y'all that don't know what that means, we needed this work done yesterday. And so you need to go hire another 50 people to get this done tomorrow. That means another 50 on top of the current 50. I'm at 100 employees, so that means my payroll just doubled. And I got to wait another 90 to 120 days just to get my money back. And when that day happens, we're going to argue about it. That's what you're dealing with. It's a shady game. And we find ourselves trying to find great partners to work with. People that understand the challenges that minority companies face, no matter if it's in the construction business, the IT business, or any service provider there may be. We all run into certain types of challenges. Construction just happens to be a pretty big one because these are big dollars that you're playing with. I mean, millions of dollars are out there left. So the challenges are always there. There are minority companies out there that are truly qualified to do the work. If you are going around and knocking on doors, please lift up the hood and see what's really behind the engine of some of these companies to see if they are truly, truly qualified to do the work. If you are, you're in a nice space. Get ready. Be aggressive. Get your bonding right. Get your insurance right. And be poised to take on the next phase of growth within this country. Thank you very much.